as we play a game called The Night Cage. This is from Smirk and Dagger Games. Hopefully I can do it without the glare. There we go. Smirk and Dagger Games. 1 to 5 players, ages 14 and up, and then it plays in about 50 minutes, give or take. So typically when you play this, if you have 1 to 4 players, there will be 4 characters in the game. No matter how many, if you have 1, 2, 3, or 4 players, there's always 4 characters in the game that everyone's controlling together in a sense. If you have one playing solo, as I will be doing tonight, you control all 4. Playing 2 players, you have 2 each. Play 4, you each have 1. But collectively, you're all trying to survive. You have found yourself awoken in this dark labyrinth, where all you have is a candle. Just a simple candle to light your path. It's kind of not showing up on... There we go. Webcams don't show it as well as it should. But you have a candle to light your path, and it only sheds light far enough to basically show one additional path space around you. So as you move around, you might lose track of certain spaces because you've gotten too far away from spaces you've been before, and they no longer have enough light to show what they are. So maybe next time you get to that path section, it's different. Now, in this whole labyrinth, there's also some basically wax eaters type monsters who will attack if disturbed in the wrong way. But what each character in the game is trying to do is to find a key. And once everyone has a key, you need to get every person to the gate. So there's going to be tile stacks, a stack of tiles. We're pulling those tiles out, putting them on the board each turn, based on how we move and which tiles we find. It lights more path. And then we're going to be finding keys on those tiles. Some of those tiles will have pits that they turn into, crumble apart, turn into a pit that you can fall into, either by choice or on accident. And then you want to attempt to get to the gate afterwards. Once everyone has safely made it to a gate with a key, that indicates that you have won. Otherwise, you lose, and you're stuck in the labyrinth forever, without the light, and kind of stuck with all these wax eaters that will attack you as you move around in the dark. So, we're going to have some fun with it tonight. I've played this a couple times online. The tabletop simulator version, I first learned it when it was actually on Kickstarter. Curt from Smirk and Dagger came on, joined us, taught us the game. I got to interview him while at Origins Game Fair, where first showed off the actual game itself, and it was being sold. I was fortunate enough to be able to pick up a copy. Curt very graciously provided a copy for us to use for review, which I did an unboxing of already. That's uploaded to my YouTube channel. But that was a live unboxing I did on here on one of my Friday nights. And then, of course, now we get to play it off, and Halloween is the perfect time to play it. So hopefully you enjoy this Halloween Spooktacular special as we get a little bit darker gaming in than usual. This is more dark in that dark art than necessarily a dark theme. Well, the theme itself, you are trapped, but overall very straightforward, very easy. And quite fun if you can stand the challenge. So we're going to switch over and we'll get started. I'll kind of talk through some of the setup that I did and then jump into the solo game itself. And if you're here watching along, help suggest some of the moves I make, or if you have done something different, or what you think of the game in general. I like to talk about the games as I play, so feel free to jump in, talk to me, talk about your day, what you've been playing, and then try to play along with me if you wish. So let's switch over to that. So we have a little bit of a darker setup tonight to kind of go along with the night cage part of it. Now right here in this view right here, you're going to see the main board. It's a grid set system. Now left and right, top and bottom, they do wrap around. So during movement and line of sight essentially happens from top to bottom, wraps left and right also wrap. This game likes to set up as north at the top, south at the bottom of the board. standard east-west kind of cardinal directions. Now, we have the keys set aside, so none of the main characters have found the keys yet. They'll be kind of gently lit over here by one of the candles. Now, if you picked up the Kickstarter version of this, it comes with some of these battery-operated candles. Sometimes they show up on camera, sometimes they don't. Not a problem, though. It's still fun to have a little darker, dimly lit scenario here. Now, over here on this camera down here, you're going to see the character cards. They're little candle standees that represent them and their colors. Each player is going to, or each character is going to start with their starting tile that they'll end up placing on the board on their first turn. They also have one nerve each to start the game. Now, a nerve can be spent during the game when you're attacked to basically not discard as many tiles, or you can spend one to basically make an extra move on your turn, because typically you move one space. And there's different things you can do with that nerve. So everyone starts with a little bit. We also have this stack of the tiles right here. That is our main candle for the whole group. And throughout the game, it serves as a timer. So as we draw those tiles out, it's going to burn down, per se. And eventually we'll get to the bottom of that. And if we burn out, we lose the game if we have not escaped yet and found the gate with our keys. So it's a good representation of time ticking down, and you can visually see it. Really nice artwork on that tower itself, as it looks like a candle. And then in general, we're just going to have some fun with it. So I'm going to go through, talk about each setup, and then as things come up, we'll trigger them. This board right here that you see, that's primarily used as a discard board. Pardon me. It's a discard board. So once tiles come off of the main board, they get discarded over here. So you can kind of keep track of how many of certain tiles you've seen. I believe there are 6 keys and 4 gates currently in the whole tile stack. There are also, I believe, about a dozen of the wax eater monsters that we're trying to avoid. So they could come out at any time. So we'll see what they look like and how they trigger as it happens. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to play from left to right on these colors every round, and how a typical game would go. And that once you figure out the first player, it continues around the table. And to keep it easy on myself, I'm going with the standardized Roy G. Biv color system, where I got red going first, and then we got green, blue, violet at the end. So it's easy for me to remember the order that we have them in. But of course, you could play them in any color you choose. It's just easier on myself. They all have the same ability. So let's jump into it. On the first turn, a character will have their starting tile that is essentially 2 different directions, and it's also a crumbling tile. So the turn after you are on it, or first move onto it, basically the turn you step off it, it turns into a pit, which is the bottom. It shows pits. So what I'm going to do, I get to select where the red character has woken up in this labyrinth. So what I'm going to do, let's just put it something like this. We'll try we'll try going, pointing it up and to the left. So what we're going to do, we're going to place the red candle on it. Hopefully that shows up enough where y'all can start to see it. Otherwise, I'll turn up the lighting a little bit. There you go. That should make it a little bit easier for y'all to see. Of course, I wanted to keep it as dim as possible to really mimic the theme. Now, also, if you check out their website and did the Kickstarter copy, I believe you can also just do it on the website. You don't have to have backed it at Kickstarter. But they have a QR code that you can follow, and they have a playlist that's kind of matches the theme that you can listen to while you play. Now, I don't have that playing tonight because, of course, I'm streaming. I don't know what songs are on it that were allowed to be streamed, so unfortunately I can't show off the songs right now, but you do need to go check that out. I highly recommend it. So first we're going to place our red token right here. And then when we do that, it's going to light one path tile in each direction that the path currently leads. So in this instance, it leads in 2 directions. So we're going to draw 2 tiles, one at a time. I'm going to draw for the top section first. And we've revealed a cross section. So that path, if I continued that way, would lead in multiple directions. The next one I'm going to reveal is this straight. So now my candle lights one tile in every direction of the tile I stand on. So if next turn I move up to this top one, it's going to light in 4 directions as opposed to just 2 right now. If I move to this straight, it's only shining in the 2 sides that the path leads. So that's the turn. So we're going to set up all the characters on the board in the same way, drawing and presetting all the tiles. Now again, we can start wherever we want them to. So next I'm going to have green on the board. Maybe since I know that path goes that way, maybe I don't want it pointing there, so maybe I'll shift it somewhere else so it sets me up to explore more of the map. Let's try something like... No, we'll try that. So in this case, it's going to point up and to the right. So we're going to put 1 tile above it. And sometimes you're going to find these T tiles. Now, in this instance, you can point it in any direction as long as it connects to the tile you're providing light from or where you're currently at. So I could either have it branch left and right, or I could have it point up and then to the right or up to the left. I think in this case I'm going to have it go up and to the left. And then I need to add a tile to the right side of where I'm currently at. And this time it's another big cross section. Okay, so now we're going to place the blue one. Maybe I know he's already coming across down here, so I'm going to maybe go somewhere different with this next one. Because there's both pros and cons to being close and far apart, as you'll learn later in this game, so I don't want to give too much away yet. But once they show up, I'll explain how those wax monsters really trigger and start working. So since I know it's coming in here, maybe I like a different row than that one at least. Try... No, let's go to the corner. So I'm going to place the blue on it there. I'm going to have it pointing up and to the left instead of having it cross over. So, above it is going to be a T tile. I'm going to have it actually point left and right off of it. And then to the left of where I'm currently standing is going to be another T tile. I will point that down, up and down. Okay. So then last but not least we have purple. I'm going to do something slightly different in the way this one sets, because we can have fun with it and there's no obligation to put it anywhere except where you want to put it. Now a lot of times I'll try to do like the 4 quadrants in some way, but nothing says you have to do it in that way. So let's try more central part of the board, and we'll expand from there. So we got a T, we'll be able to put it below because purple is going to be on it, and then to the right is going to be a straight. Okay, so now we wrap around and go back to the red player's turn, because each character takes 1 turn at a time, and on their turn they can either move 1 space or they stay. If they stay, they have to discard a tile from the stack, or from our tower stack or candle, our timer. But they would gain 1 nerve. But you have a maximum of holding of 2 nerves. Currently, each color has 1 nerve piece each already. But we want to explore a little bit and start to show off how this works. Now, because we're on a crumble tile, if we do stay, it's going to crumble underneath us. So we don't necessarily want that yet, per se. So let's just start exploring. I'm going to have red go up. Now, what happens here is, let me verify the order, but we're going to light new spaces because we've moved. But also the space we've moved away from will no longer be lit. Okay, so the order is you light new spaces before discarding old ones. So what we're going to do, we now need to light 3 more paths. I'm going to light the top path first. Oh, we found a T. I'm going to, let's point it up and to the right. Now I'm going to light the right path next. Another T. I see no reason not to point it up and down because we already have a dead end behind it where the green is. And then to the left of the red is going to be another T. I guess I did not shuffle these well. Throw them in the box lid and shuffle them around, so sometimes it can happen in this order. Let's go up and to the left. So after you place new tiles, so one of the things I could have placed this pointed up and down, even though it dead ends that, because you can place it in any orientation you choose as long as it's connected to the path you're coming from. And then we remove pieces that have no longer being illuminated. So this straight is no longer illuminated. That is discarded to our discard pile over here. Now, also because we moved off of a tile that crumbles, it collapses into a pit. So as we moved, that technically became a pit right there. Turns over to full-fledged pit. It does open up being able to basically jump into that pit from any direction, but pit rules is you essentially fall off for a turn and then you come back in based within that row or column you fell from. So there's definitely some tactics to it that you can use pits to your advantage if you choose. I've used it to near the end of a game to escape a little bit easier. But now we have, because it's at red was at a cross section, it lit 4 different sides. Now you do have to be careful. Lighting cross sections means you're adding more tiles to the board faster, running down your timer. But there's also that balance of you discover more things faster as well. So there's a little bit of give and take on it. So next up is going to be the green turn. I'm going to have it move as well. And I will have it go to the right to its cross section. So that turns this one into a pit. We're going to add above. Oop, there's a key. To the right. It's going to be a straight. And then below, we're going to find a T. Not sure it matters which direction I turn this because it's probably going to crumble soon. Let's do it this direction. And then no longer lit is this one up here. So that goes to our discard board. And next up is blue. 2 directions to move, either up or to the left. Both T's. Considering if I move to the left, So green's already next to a key. Either we save that key for green can go their next turn to grab a key immediately, or we have blue take the long route to it, and then green start coming downward. Because otherwise I'm going to have blue go up. Oh yeah, let's go. I'm going to have blue go up. So first it's going to reveal something to its left. It's going to reveal a T section. And let's have it point up and to the left. And then because the board wraps itself, it reveals something immediately in eyesight or line of light on the opposite side of the board. It's going to be a T as well, apparently. That's a lot of T's we've found already. Pros and cons. I'm going to turn it up and down. Now the space we stepped off of crumbles because it was a crumbling starting space turns into a pit, and then this piece is no longer lit because it's not a direct line of light one space away from a candle. And again to our discard. And now we move our purple. So either I can move on to this single, come out this way, or I can come down to this T. I'm thinking, so I know red, which I have not decided which way red's going to move yet. I'll get back to that. I know green's moving up. It's going to light this down here. Blue might light that. No, let's move down with purple, turning that starting spot into a pit. I need to reveal two, one to the left, another T, of course. It's my luck right now. And then one to the right. Oh, there's our first wax monster, or wax eater. So this is going to get really tricky because we have two characters line of sight. This tile also gets discarded because a wax eater basically shoots off attacks a full line of sight hallways. So we do know that essentially one of these will get hit in a little bit. So not a great outcome so far. We're putting ourselves in a pickle pretty fast. But we do have a chance. So what I'm going to do now, we're back to red again. And we still need red to discover a key. So I'm going to go to the left, up and down. Needs light. We found another wax eater to the top, and then below is a crumbling straight space. And then out of the light now was this tile that was above, tile to the right, and that pit no longer lit. So that was one of their starters. We got another T. So we're not doing great at finding these keys yet. But apparently we're good at finding wax eaters. And then we said green was going to jump to the key. No, not since we know the wax eaters are popping out now. But I still need keys, so I don't want to wait too long. So I'm going to have him move to the key. It's going to gain him green a key. I'll put the key on that player card. We need to reveal some more tiles. I'm going to reveal to the right first with a T space. I'm going to make sure that wax eater line of sight doesn't cross itself. So this dead end will block it. I'm going to put above it, which actually wraps to the bottom of the board, which is another T. Okay. So I'll just do this with it. And then to its left. And we keep finding T's. If it point down, then no longer in the light is this straight. That one and that one, so two are discard piles. They go. So that was green. Now we have blue. Okay, so here's one of the ways you can use pits to your advantage, but it won't be great to do regardless, just because there's a wax eater in the way. Because if I don't, I'm not on a crumbling space, so it's okay, it won't make me fall. The wax eaters only trigger if they see you move. Yeah, it's just line of sight triggers a monster. And then they trigger all the way down their line of sight. So I think what's the best option for me right now, I'm going to have blue stay to gain a nerve. We'll have to discard one tile from the stack, which ends up being a big cross section. Okay, we can deal with that. But now blue has two nerves. He didn't move, so it didn't, well, don't have to say he, it just, blue did not move, so it does not trigger the wax eater. Now it's purple's turn. I could also have purple stay, but eventually someone's gonna have to move. So yeah, let's have, I'm gonna have purple move and then show you how a pit works as well. The monster's gonna attack no matter what, but I can get it off the board if purple jumps to the pit first. So jumping into a pit. So falling into a pit does not mean death. Instead it means, so if you jump, so you place that prisoner token along the board edge, either by the edge of the row or column you occupied, and discard any tiles no longer illuminated. At the start of your next turn, choose an empty unlit space along the row or column you chose. So say I want to be in this row currently. He's going to jump into this pit. He jumps into the pit, so I'm going to place him, or it, in this vertical column. Now that triggers the monster, the wax eater. And then I'll show how the rest of it works. So then, because blue's line of sight, it will trigger a full line of sight attack and when attacked by the wax eater. That player will go, will have to discard the top 3 tiles from the draw stack face up. But one of the benefits of having nerve is you can spend nerve to help block the attack. Instead of discarding 3, you can only discard 2 instead. So blue's going to spend a nerve to only discard 2 tiles instead of 3. A T and a T. Okay, no keys. We're good. But blue still gets hit and goes lights out. So I'm going to turn the blue card over. And now blue basically can't see. And their candle is extinguished. And you move around blindly. So now we have to trigger everything that is no longer lit. So first off, purple is no longer right here. So that pit's not lit. These T's are not lit. The wax eater is no longer lit, so it can actually come completely off the board. And then because blue is lights out, it no longer lights the paths next to it as well, dropping all of these off to discard as well. So a bit of a struggle. Now blue can relight their candle by becoming adjacent to another player. Okay, so that was the purple's turn. Now we're going to go red, which is next to our wax eater, so we're also trying to avoid getting hit by that. So red's going to step back to the cross section, drawing one for the top, one for the right, one for the bottom. The wax eater would trigger across dead ends on this, go down, so it does not hit anything, and then we anything not lit by adjacent candles is now off. So as you can see, our candle over here has slowly been going down. Not quite halfway through the tiles yet, but we're still struggling to find enough keys. So this may be a harder game for us based on the tile shuffle. So that was the red move. Now green is going to attempt to help blue out a little bit. So what they'll do is they're going to move up 1, which comes to here and illuminating 2 tiles, one to the left is a key and one to the right is a T. And then where it moved away from, it's still lighting that key, but then the 3 other spaces that it was around are no longer lit. Okay, so now we have blue, partially to be able to relight its candle and not be lights out, and because it's a little bit safer to go onto a spot that it can see, it's going to move down. That relights its candle, so it's no longer lights out because it's adjacent to green. And then when you relight a candle, the player, that player whose turn it was, can draw the tiles to fill in newly illuminated passages at the end of that turn. So at the end of this turn, it's going to light one to its right, which is actually across on the board over here with a big section. So now we have a couple of choices here. It's purple's turn. Purple can drop in anywhere on this column. Now we could attempt to drop in next to the key at the risk of it's a wax eater, which could then trigger basically that whole row and attack 3 characters at once. So we don't really want that. And hello and welcome Beyond Dead. Hope you're doing well today. Playing the Night Cage, showing off the solo mode. So I said it was, so blue just went, so next up is purple. So I don't want to risk dropping it on a wax eater monster, so I'm not going to drop in next to the key. I think what I might do is, to help keep some of these paths illuminated, I'm going to drop in right here at this section near red. It's going to help out a lot. But I'm going to do it one lower, so hopefully we find like a cross section, light up additional paths. It's going to drop in, take a tile from the stack, and immediately place it. And so now we need to light the adjacent paths. Above is going to be a T. Let's branch out a little bit that direction. To the left is going to be a key. That's what we've been needing. To the right is a T. Point it down, and then below us is another T. Okay, so that brings us a full another round, and we are to red. Both purple, red, and blue all need keys. Blue's probably going to attempt to go 2 turns over to this one. Red still needs to find another one because purple was 1 space away. So probably we'll have red move upward to hopefully find. So I'm going to place this to the left. Straight, okay. Then to the right is going to be a gate. And then up above, which actually wraps to the bottom of the board, is another T. Let's place it in that angle right there. Okay, and then no longer lit is this T, that T, this T. Okay, next in turn order is green. Does not need a key, but it can help illuminate spaces. So I'm going to have it go... Oh, when it stepped off that other key, that one should have been a pit a while ago. So I did mess up on that one. So what I'll do here is I'm going to intentionally jump into the pit with that one and then place it in this row. So then, oh no, I can't do that though, because that delights my, that delights the key that I found for blue. Because I don't think I can pass keys around. It's each person has to earn a key or step on a key space. Player can only carry a single key at a time, as you other hand holds them. Therefore, a prisoner who reveals a key tile when they already hold a key is faced with the dilemma. Walk away, no longer illuminate. Keys may be passed. A prisoner may pass a held key to another prisoner if, on one of the prisoner's turns, they are adjacent to each other and connected by passage. Passing a key is a free action. Well, that's exactly what I need to do then. I need to have green pass the key to blue for free action, and then green will step onto the other key to earn it. And then that's still lit, lighting new paths above, left, and below. Above is a T space. To the left is another gate. Okay. And then below, which wraps to the top of the board, is a straight, which has to point up and down because it has to connect to the tile it was on. So then blue no longer needs a key. Purple is about to get the key, so we need to find the key for red. So I think when I have blue, step to the right. Well, I need to finish. That tile should have dropped out of sight, out of line of light. Done. Yep. Okay, so I'm going to have blue step to the right, lighting a space above with another T. Bah humbug. just have it go to the left. Over here, no longer illuminated, is the one that was above a while ago. To the left is still illuminated, below is here. Okay, so that was blue's turn. Purple is going to step onto the key now, earning a key. Illuminating above with a T, of course. No surprise there. To the left with the gate. And then below a key. Okay, I think we might have this solved. As long as we don't get attacked by wax eaters. So that was purple getting its key. Next up we're going to have red move up 1, which is wraps the board. It does not illuminate anything new, but keeps that key illuminated for now, which drops light from here, here, there. So it did drop light from a gate. Okay. Next up is green. Is going to step up. It's going to work towards the gate we've already found. I think is the right play here. Yep. So then that eliminates one space, a T. Turns that key spot into a pit. No longer lit is this top one, that one, and this gate. Next up is blue. Just going to move up 1. Illuminates a new spot on the opposite side of the board, which is another gate. Okay. And keep in mind, every character has to get to the same gate. Okay, so that was blue. Next up is purple. Is going to step onto this gate, which eliminates above another key, and then to its left, which is across the board over here, as straight. Okay. Back to red is going, but before I continue that, before I go to red, I need to finish purple. That key turned into a pit. No longer lit is this one. Oh, that wasn't lit anyway. That's not lit. T lit. Across. It's lit. Okay. So that was purple moving to the gate. Yep. Red is now going to step on this key, earning its key. So now all colors have a key. Eliminating nothing new. This does fall off the board though. Next up is green. Which is going to actually jump into the pit, allowing it to fall into this row. We have to discard a tile, which is a straight, okay. Then no longer lit is this one, that one, this. Oh, because that moved. This should have been no longer lit a while ago. So green moved, now blue is going to stay, earning a nerve, discarding a tile, which was a big X. And then purple is also going to stay, earning a nerve, discarding a tile, which was a wax monster, wax eater monster. So that's a good use of getting a tile discarded now that they all have keys and we know the gate they're going to. We're not afraid to discard tiles. It brings us back to red, which I'm going to use the ability to jump into a pit and then drop into that row. That turns this key into its own pit, but then things that are no longer lit are that pit, what was below it and to the right of it. In that key space. And then, let's see, so that was red. Next up is green. Green's going to use its turn to drop back down onto this X space, which then illuminates to its right, straight, below it. Oh, wax eater. Okay. And then to its left, which is across, is another wax eater. Oof. Now we're getting tricky. So there's green. Next up is blue. It has already stayed. So 2 nerve, it has 2 nerve, which is max. But it can still stay, you just can't earn another nerve. Yeah, so it's going to stay. Yeah, it's gonna stay. Can't get another nerve, but it stays. Purple can't get another nerve, but it stays. Brings us back to red again. So I was saying that because of the way green moved, it revealed those. Blue is going to stay, so it doesn't trigger the monsters yet. Purple's staying because it's already at the gate. Bringing us back to red. So what I'm going to do for red, so it doesn't trigger a monster yet. It was off the board because it jumped into a pit last turn. It's going to drop in onto this straight crumbling tile, which it means next turn it will crumble underneath it. And then I'm back to green again. And what I'm going to do is they're all going to get hit, basically. So I'm just going to move it straight up. I'm going to use, so it's going to move straight up. It's going to trigger the wax monster. That's both line of sight ones because it moved or jumped out of the way. First, this one, bottom one triggers. It doesn't hit anything, but this top one does wrap all the way back up to all 3 of these. So purple, blue, and green are all hit, and so each time a character is hit by the wax eaters, you have to discard extra tiles. And so what we'll do, we'll start with the green one because it was the green's turn. Green has 1 Nerve, it can spend. It's not going to spend nerve to decrease the number of tiles it has to discard. So it's just going to discard 3. 1, 2, 3. And then it's lights out, technically. But I'll explain in a minute how this lights out doesn't really occur because of the way we're adjacent in a particular way. Next up, it would hit blue. Blue's going to spend 1 nerve, so it only discards 2 tiles. And then it technically goes lights out. So all the character boards flip over once they're lights out. Then it hits purple, which is also going to spend a nerve. So only have 2 discarded, which is another Wax Eater and a T. It goes lights out. But remember, lights out characters, if they're ever adjacent via connected passway to a prisoner with a lit candle, the candle is automatically relit. So red is adjacent to purple over here because of the way the board wraps. So purple is relit. And then because purple is relit, both blue and green are relit. So they all stayed close enough to keep each other lit. Now, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to have green. Nope, I don't need to have green do anything more yet. So now they're lit again. Technically, when the lights went out, these would have dropped out of frame. That would have dropped. This would have dropped. These would have fallen off out of light. That gate goes away, and then when they're relit, that should have had a tile a while ago next to it, of course, and it's a Wax Eater. Oh joy. This relights next to it. Wax Eater below, across, and then below is another Wax Eater. Man, they just all came out at the same time. That was green's turn. Blue is just gonna move. At this point, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to have green would have spent their extra nerve to then take an extra move on their turn. By doing so, it triggers 3 Wax Eaters. All of them. It's going to trigger this one here, which hits blue. Let's see if we get this right. This is going to be intense. Because I think even if you jump into line of sight. Yeah, I think we're going to struggle here. Yeah, there might not be a way just because we got surrounded by the Wax Eaters. But green did that to move upward. Triggers this Wax Eater hitting blue. It's going to spend a nerve to only discard 2. Triggered this one, which hits blue for 1, 2, 3. Hits purple, which spends a nerve to only discard 2. Oh my. And then it hits green. Let's see what the rule is when you're... So we're technically out of tiles on the candle stack now, which means we're in the final flickers. So when the draw stack is empty, it signals the end of the game or final flickers. No new tiles can be added to the board. However, play continues with the prisoners using any tiles still left on the board. Final flickers start immediately at the end of the turn of the prisoner who drew the last tile from the draw stack from that moment forward at the end of every printer's turn. Also removes one additional tile from anywhere on the board unless nerve was spent. To prevent this, a monster can be removed. I think it just triggers immediate final flicker. Let me see. We've run out of wax, so I don't know if technically the monsters keep attacking because there's nothing for it to eat. But it also doesn't say that they take them from the board. I think it's because we're out of tiles to discard from the stack. We immediately move to final flickers at the end of the green turn now. When the draw stick is empty, it signals the end of the game or final flickers. No new tiles can be added to the board. Easy enough. However, play continues with prisoners using any tiles still left on the board. Starts immediately at the end of the turn. Who drew the last tile? A moment forward at the end of every prisoner's turn after removing tiles that are no longer eliminated, you must also remove one additional tile. So that was green that moved. We're going to have blue move next. Removing the monster. No longer lit. Well, technically all their lights went out a while ago, so because of that, all the lights going out would have dropped all of these monsters anyway. He moves that. That drops off because they were no longer lit. Purple's turn would have stayed, but because of that, you have to remove a token or a tile from the board, and that the only tile to remove is the red tile. One where red is, so I think technically we still lose. Yeah, because red is the one with nerve left to remove anything. If purple had not spent the nerve earlier, would have had it now to not have to remove something. So, technically we lose. Womp, womp, womp. So a very close game. As you can see, we were one move away from saving all of the prisoners in this scenario. Part of the shuffle, I guess, in this point was really played against us at the end, when all of the wax eater monsters came out at the same time and just basically surrounded us, and so we couldn't move.